Thanks for checking out my micro drawings channel. I'm starting tonight with a pencil, quarter, and Copic multi-liner for reference. And I'm drawing the kit Fortnite skin. There's my rough draft I did earlier today. And now I'm on to the final project. I drew that rough draft just to get an idea for all the little bits and pieces that are included in the skin. You know, you see it, but when you really look close, you'll see there's a lot of little parts to it. So I wanted to study it a little bit first and then get to the actual drawing. In this case, there's a lot to the picture, and so I had to speed up my drawing speed quite a bit. So what you're seeing is a fraction of the time that it actually took to draw it. And in this case, I started with the lamp or the headlight, and I worked on the handlebars from that, and then down to the wheel in the front, and kind of in the chest area. And I just kept referencing back to what I'd already laid in there, what I'd already drawn. So I'll just be quiet and let you watch for a while. So I've got a lot of his chest and up, the one arm and the chest in there. Thought I'd put a quarter for reference. You can see it covers it up nicely. And then I'll continue to work on the other arm and work my way down the body. But every once in a while I'll put that quarter for scale so you can see how large it is. So I'm finishing up the upper thighs. It's just, again, interesting with this skin, and most of the skins are pretty involved, of course. But this one, you notice, a lot of what's going on when you're actually drawing it, as far as like the shields on the upper thighs and then the straps holding those on to the upper thigh legs as well. Here I'm putting in almost like the knee guards or kneecap protectors. So those on each side. And then I'm working down there. I guess I'd call that a shin guard. Kind of looks like a shin guard shape for those of you that play soccer. And then down to the little paw of the cat. And there's a quarter for reference, for scale. It ended up getting a little bit outside of that quarter. Once I get the kitty on top, it's outside of the quarter, but it's still pretty darn small. So hopefully you still like it. So again, I'll just let you get back to watching. Here's a quarter for scale again. You can see it covers it up almost all the way. So next up is getting that kitten or cat drawn up on top. And it's always interesting when you go from, something that's so metallic and I guess industrial, commercial, however you want to say it, with all the, joints and different metal pieces. Then you go to this little soft cat up on top. So I tried to go light with my Copic multi-liner, hoping that if I screwed up a little bit, I could overcome or fix it, enough. So I think I did all right on them. Worked my way up from the body and the tail and then added the head. I didn't want to start with the head because if I would have started with the head of the cat and got that off, then connecting him down to where he's sitting just wouldn't have looked right. He would have looked really squat or really stretched out. As it is, he ended up a little bit bigger than I would have liked him, but I think he still looks okay. That's just a comparison, again, to the draft I did earlier. So my final project here is actually going to end up being a little smaller than that draft was. And there, I'm just doing a little touch-up work here and there. And then I'm starting to add my color. For the color, I use Copic sketch markers, and I use some microns. In this case, I use a little microns. Those are the finer tipped ones. There's a little bit kind of up on the gas tank below the cat. A couple little colors there, green and blue and a little splash of yellow. I didn't quite have the aqua color I wanted for the parts of the Fortnite skin here. So I used that blue. I think it turned out okay, but there's definitely some colors I should have on my wish list for my Copic sketch markers to get so I can get the range that I wanted. So I'm just working through it here. That is probably a Cool Shadow 1, a gray, just giving some of the shading, whether it's on the cat itself or on some of the metallic parts of the body. And then another darker shade of gray. So again, just starting to go over all of it, trying to leave some highlights here and there. I'm using the fine tip of that marker, and these markers are alcohol based, so they don't really bleed or smudge. You can blend them together. I don't do a lot of that. You will see a little bit on this, especially when I'm working on the cat on top, and when I'm working on some of the, I think ended up being the thighs more and the thigh pads a little bit. You can tell I blended the colors, like the browns on the thigh underneath the shield. Here I'm starting to bring in the brown onto the upper thigh there. Going with a lighter brown first, and then I'll touch up with a little darker brown to give it that shading. A little bit of blending there, not a ton. And with these markers, I do have to work right up to that line. In this case, a lot of the parts, you can see the parts or the joints and so on, the black line's still there, and I'm kind of coloring over all of it. Here and there, I'm trying to leave the highlights of it. And I'm barely touching that. If I hold that marker down too long, it bleeds quite a bit. So just light touches here and there to give some of that shading and shadowing. There's a quarter again for scale. So here I'm just touching up again with that Cool Shadow 3, giving some darker shading and putting a little bit on the cat as well. And again, quarter for scale. And there I'm getting into the cat a little bit more. I've got gray on one side of his face and then a brown on the other side of the face. And I used 2 or 3 shades on each side, or levels, values, I guess. I don't know. I don't have the right word in my mind, but for the brown versus the gray. But I did want it to have that 3D quality, that it's darker on the bottom side or the side that's away from the light source. So I did do a little work off to the side on another piece of paper to practice that shading and a little bit of blending. So again, not a ton there, but a little bit, and hopefully it looks a little more 3D than than what it originally did. And so there I brought in, I think it was a cool, or a warm shadow number 5, warm gray number 5. Just made a little bit stronger shadow underneath the chin of the cat and by his legs. And there's yellow on the headlight. And getting close to finish, just doing a little bit of touch up here and there. Again, strengthening some of the darker shadow areas. Just kind of going through and seeing what I missed. And then just need to add the date, 7/26/20, and my initials. There's a quarter for scale again. Again, thanks for watching.